Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the absolute silence of a room where sound has ceased to exist. Now, multiply that silence by infinity. We often look up at the night sky and feel a sense of wonder. We see the twinkling lights and dream of sailing among them like explorers on a calm cosmic ocean. But space is not an ocean. It is an endless, freezing desert. And the journey to our closest neighboring star, Alpha Centauri, is not a gentle cruise. It is perhaps the most terrifying journey we could ever attempt. Today, we will embark on that very voyage. We will leave the comfort of our blue planet. We will drift into the terrifying, hypnotic embrace of the deep void. We will confront the overwhelming scale of the universe, and we will discover what truly waits for us in the dark. Breathe slowly. Let go of the earth. The void is calling. Before we launch into the abyss, we must understand our destination. Alpha Centauri is not just a single star. It is a chaotic, gravitational dance of three celestial bodies. Alpha Centauri A and B are sun-like stars, locked in an endless orbital waltz. And then there is Proxima Centauri, a small, violent red dwarf. It sits slightly closer to us, roughly 4.24 light-years away. 4 light-years. The number sounds small, but do not let it deceive you. A single light-year is nearly 6 trillion miles. If we flew aboard the Voyager spacecraft, humanity's fastest creation, it would take us over 70,000 years to arrive. We are not designed for this distance. Our minds struggle to comprehend the sheer, crushing scale of interstellar space. Yet, the human spirit is relentlessly drawn to the unknown. We are moths fluttering toward a distant, freezing flame. To make this journey, we must defy the limits of our biology. We must conquer the physics of reality itself. The severing of the cord. The journey begins with fire and violence. You are strapped into the seat of an interstellar vessel. The countdown reaches 0. The roar of the engines shakes the very calcium in your bones. We are tearing ourselves away from the gravity well of Mother Earth. Look out the viewport. The familiar blue skies fade. They bleed into a bruised, atmospheric purple. And then, abruptly, the absolute black of space swallows you. Many believe that going to space is instantly peaceful. We often see movies where spacecraft glide silently off the launch pad. This is a comforting myth. The reality is a brutal fight against planetary physics. But soon, the atmosphere thins to nothing. The brutal shaking stops. The sound is instantly stripped away. You are left floating in a sudden, terrifying silence. The umbilical cord to Earth has been cut. You are now a child of the void, and the quiet is deafening. The fading marble. We drift past the orbit of the Moon. Look back one last time. There it is, the Earth. A fragile, glowing sphere of blue and white. It is suspended in a terrifying ocean of nothingness. Every human who has ever lived, loved, and died is on that tiny speck of dust. From here, you can cover it with your thumb. It is a profound, chilling realization. You are leaving the only home humanity has ever known. The psychological weight begins to press on your chest. You realize there is no turning back. The Earth shrinks. It becomes a coin, then a marble, then a bright star. And soon, it will be lost entirely in the glare of the sun. We are entirely alone. The silence of the cabin is only broken by the rhythmic hum of life support. Breathe in the recycled air. Feel the subtle vibration of the deck beneath your feet. It is your entire world now. The rusting ghost. We cross the orbit of Mars. The red planet slides past our window like a silent, rusting ghost in the dark. Mars has always been humanity's safety net in our dreams, the backup planet, the next step. But on a journey to Alpha Centauri, Mars is barely a milestone. It is a microscopic stepping stone on a bridge that spans infinity. There is a common myth that leaving the inner solar system feels like a rapid montage of planets. In reality, it takes months of empty, agonizing drifting just to reach this rusted desert. Mars offers no help. Its thin atmosphere and dead volcanoes are a grim reminder of how hostile the universe truly is to life. We speed past it. The red glow fades into the black. The darkness between the planets is stretching out. The distance is beginning to mock our concept of time. The sleeping giant. We approach the realm of Jupiter. The gas giant looms ahead, a monstrous sphere of swirling storms and terrifying radiation. We are not stopping here. We are using Jupiter. We dive toward it to steal its orbital momentum, a gravitational slingshot. The ship accelerates violently. Look closely at the swirling bands of ammonia and hydrogen. The great red spot stares back like a dead, unblinking eye. It is an illustration of raw, uncontrollable nature. A storm larger than the planet you were born on, raging for centuries. We skim the edge of its crushing gravity. The radiation counters scream. If we fail this maneuver, we will be dragged down into its crushing, liquid metallic core. But the math is perfect. Jupiter flings us outward. We are thrown deeper into the cold. The giant recedes. Its gravity gives us the final push we need. We are moving faster now, but it still feels like we are standing completely still. The rings of ice. Saturn glides into view. It is arguably the most beautiful sight in our local neighborhood. A jewel of pale yellow, crowned with a halo of shattered ice. Let your eyes trace the delicate, glowing rings. They look solid from afar, like a celestial racetrack. But this is an illusion, a beautiful myth. As we pass, our senses reveal the truth. They are millions of individual ice shards and rocks, a chaotic blizzard frozen in orbit. Some are as small as a grain of sand. Others are the size of mountains. They collide in agonizingly slow motion. The beauty is born from destruction. Saturn marks the last truly recognizable landmark. We are reaching the deep suburbs of the solar system. The sun's warmth is rapidly dying. The temperature on the hull plummets. Ice begins to form on the external sensors. We are entering the freezer of the gods. The realm of shadows. Uranus and Neptune slide by as dim, freezing phantoms. They are barely illuminated by the distant sun. Out here, the sun is no longer a life-giving orb. It is just an intensely bright star in the sky. It provides no warmth. The light is pale, ghostly. We are entering the Kuiper Belt, a vast, dark ring of frozen debris left over from the birth of the planets. It is populated by icy dwarfs like Pluto. You might imagine dodging massive asteroids, twisting the ship through a dense, chaotic field of rocks. But the reality is far more lonely. The Kuiper Belt is mostly empty space. You could fly blindly through it for a lifetime and never hit a single object. The distances are that vast. The isolation is absolute. You are sailing through a graveyard of ancient ice. The shadows here are deep. They hold the secrets of the early solar system, but we cannot stay to uncover them. The heliosphere's edge. We reach the termination shock. This is the true border of our solar system, the invisible boundary where the solar wind crashes into the interstellar medium. The magnetic bubble that has protected the Earth for billions of years ends here. Beyond this line, the cosmic rays of deep space reign supreme. We are crossing the threshold. Imagine a ship sailing from a calm bay into the raging open ocean. Only this ocean is made of radiation and vacuum. We pass the silent, drifting husks of the Voyager probes, humanity's first messengers. They have been traveling for decades. They are dead, frozen metal. Yet they carry our golden records into the dark. We overtake them in a blink. Their slow journey highlights the terrifying speed we must achieve. We are leaving the sun's domain. The safety net is gone. We are unprotected. The Oort cloud. We plunge into the Oort cloud. It is a theoretical shell of icy bodies that wraps around the solar system like a thick, frozen fog. It extends halfway to Alpha Centauri. Trillions of comets float here in eternal darkness. They are ancient, pristine, untouched since the dawn of time. Imagine a snow globe the size of a light year, where the snowflakes are mountains of dirty ice hanging perfectly still. They wait for a gravitational nudge to fall toward the sun. We thread the needle through this unseen minefield. The darkness is so complete that we only know they are there by their gravity. You stare out the window. There is nothing but black. The stars seem frozen. The movement of the ship is imperceptible. The human mind is not built for this lack of stimuli. The silence presses against your eardrums. You hear your own heartbeat. It sounds like a drum in an empty cathedral. The deep void. We have breached the final barrier. We are now in true interstellar space, the void between the stars. The distance to Alpha Centauri is still over 4 light years. The emptiness here is physical. It has weight. The density of matter is less than 1 atom per cubic centimeter. It is the most perfect vacuum we will ever experience. Some believe that space is full of swirling nebulas and colorful gases, like the pictures from space telescopes. That is a myth of exposure time. To the naked human eye, the interstellar void is an abyss of unbroken, terrifying ink. The stars are hard, piercing points of light that do not twinkle. They stare back at us with cold indifference. You are floating in an endless, 3-dimensional desert. There is no up, there is no down, there is only the distant destination and the crushing realization of how small you truly are. The generation ship dilemma. How do we survive this crossing? If we use conventional rockets, this journey will take millennia. No single human could live to see the end. Perhaps we built a generation ship, a colossal ark. Imagine an entire city drifting through the void. Generations would be born, live and die in the artificial light of the corridors. They would never see a blue sky. They would never feel the wind. They would only know the ship. Earth would become a myth to them, a bedtime story told by their ancestors. The terrifying psychological burden of being the middle generation. You are not the brave pioneers who left Earth. You are not the triumphant colonists who will land on Proxima B. You are simply the caretakers of the journey, born to maintain the engines, destined to die in the dark. The void demands sacrifice, and a generation ship sacrifices entire human lifespans to the altar of distance. The cold slumber. But perhaps we chose a different path. Cryosleep, the staple of science fiction, the promise of closing your eyes on Earth and opening them on a new world. But let us strip away the romantic myth. Cryosleep is not a peaceful nap. It is a suspension of life on a molecular level. It is a terrifying dance on the razor's edge of death. Imagine the slow chill creeping into your veins, the chemicals replacing your blood to stop the ice crystals from shredding your cells. Your heartbeat slows, 1 beat per minute, then 1 beat per hour. Your consciousness fades into a cold, dreamless nothing. You are effectively dead to the universe, trusting your entire existence to the automated systems of a silent ship. If the power fails, you will not wake up to scream. You will simply freeze solid in the dark. A tomb floating in the abyss. The vulnerability is absolute. The relativistic engine. We must go faster. We must conquer time itself. We ignite the antimatter drives, the most terrifying energy source known to physics. When matter and antimatter annihilate, they convert 100% of their mass into pure energy. The exhaust is a blinding beam of gamma radiation. We are riding a continuous nuclear explosion. The ship accelerates relentlessly, day after day, month after month, pushing toward a significant fraction of the speed of light. The acceleration pushes you deep into your seat, a constant heavy gravity created by sheer thrust. The engineering required to contain this fire is beyond comprehension. One microscopic flaw in the magnetic containment field, and the ship will be vaporized in a microsecond. There will be no pain, only a sudden flash of light, expanding instantly into the cold void. We are balancing on the tip of a needle, playing with the fire that forged the stars. The shifting cosmos. As we approach relativistic speeds, The universe itself begins to warp around us. The Doppler effect takes hold, but not with sound, with light. Imagine looking forward. The light from the stars ahead is being compressed by our velocity. Their colors shift. The red stars turn yellow. The yellow stars burn blue. The blue stars shift into invisible, burning ultraviolet. Behind us, the light stretches. The stars fade into a dull, bloody crimson before disappearing into the infrared. The universe is distorting. We are moving so fast that reality is changing its face. The stars are no longer static. They gather toward the front of the ship, a phenomenon known as stellar aberration. It looks like we are flying into a tunnel of blinding, blue-white light. The familiar constellations of Earth are gone. We have broken the geometry of the night sky. We are outsiders now. The invisible minefield. But speed is a terrifying weapon. At a fraction of light speed, the empty void is suddenly lethal. Interstellar space is not entirely empty. It contains microscopic dust grains, stray atoms of hydrogen. At these velocities, a single grain of dust is not a nuisance. It is a catastrophic weapon. Imagine a tiny speck of rock hitting the hull. The kinetic energy is staggering. It strikes with the force of a tactical nuclear weapon. There is a persistent myth that ships will dodge asteroids like a fighter jet. The truth is, you cannot dodge what you cannot see, and you cannot react when you are moving at hundreds of thousands of miles per second. The dust is the true terror of the deep void, a silent, invisible minefield waiting in the dark. We are blindfolded, running at full speed through a forest. The shield of plasma. To survive the dust, we must build a shield, not a solid wall of metal, for that would be instantly pulverized. We project a powerful magnetic field ahead of the ship. We trap ionized gas to form a plasma bow shock. Look out the forward window. The darkness is gone. It is replaced by a brilliant, blinding cone of purple fire. The interstellar medium is violently colliding with our shield. We are carving a burning tunnel through the void. It is a magnificent, hypnotic sight, a waterfall of pure energy cascading over the hull. But it is also a prison. We are blinded by our own protective shell. We can no longer see the stars ahead. We are trapped in a bubble of our own making, listening to the relentless crackle of atoms being ripped apart by our passage. The ship shudders constantly, a reminder of the violent physics keeping us alive. The silent radiation. While the shield protects us from physical dust, there is a more insidious enemy: cosmic rays. High-energy particles ejected by ancient supernovas, traveling across the galaxy for millions of years. They do not care about magnetic shields. They pass straight through the hull. They pass straight through you. Imagine microscopic bullets traveling near the speed of light. Every second, hundreds of them strike your body. You cannot feel them. You cannot see them. But they are there, tearing through your DNA like scissors through silk. The ship must be lined with meters of water or liquid hydrogen to absorb the impact. Even then, the risk of cellular mutation is astronomical. Space is fundamentally hostile to biology. It is actively trying to unmake us. The silent radiation is a slow, invisible fire. We are decaying in the dark, hoping to reach the destination before our bodies forget how to heal. The theft of time. We have reached our cruising velocity, and now the most terrifying law of physics demands its payment: time dilation. As we approach the speed of light, time on the ship slows down relative to the rest of the universe. For you, the journey to Alpha Centauri might only take a few years, but back on Earth, decades are passing. Imagine the psychological horror. Every second your heart beats, an hour passes for your loved ones. You are essentially traveling into the future. By the time you arrive, everyone you ever knew will be dead. The Earth you left behind will be gone, replaced by a society that might have forgotten you entirely. Time dilation severs your final connection to humanity. You become a ghost, unstuck from the flow of normal time. You are young, but your world is old. This is the ultimate price of the stars. It costs you your timeline. The point of no return. We reach the halfway mark. 2.1 light-years from Earth. 2.2 light-years from Alpha Centauri. This is the deepest point of the ocean, the point of no return, the exact center of the dark. If the ship fails now, there is no rescue. A distress signal would take over 2 years just to reach Earth, and any help would take decades to arrive. We are entirely, utterly alone. The isolation is a physical weight. Look at the communication monitors. They are silent. The radio waves from Earth are decades old, degraded into static. You are listening to the echoes of ghosts. It is here, in the deepest black, that the human mind begins to fray. The sensory deprivation is absolute. There is only the hum of the ship, the purr of the reactor. You must hold on to your sanity. The void does not care if you go mad. The violent reversal. We cannot coast forever. If we do, we will simply blast right through the Alpha Centauri system and out the other side. We must stop. And stopping in space is just as violent as starting. The ship begins a terrifying maneuver. We must turn around. The thrusters fire, slowly rotating the massive vessel 180 degrees. Now we are flying backward. The blinding cone of our plasma shield shifts. We ignite the main engines once again, but this time they are firing against our momentum. We are decelerating. The crush of artificial gravity returns, pinning you to the seat. We are blasting a beam of pure antimatter fire directly toward our destination. The stars ahead are illuminated by our exhaust. The energy required to slow down is immense. We are fighting the inertia of thousands of tons of metal traveling at unimaginable speeds. The ship groans under the stress. Every bolt, every strut is tested. The agony of the brake. The deceleration phase lasts for years. It is a slow, agonizing grind. The brilliant blue shift of the stars ahead begins to normalize. The red shift behind us fades. The universe is settling back into its true colors. The Doppler illusion is ending, but the psychological strain intensifies. You know the destination is close, but you cannot see it through the blinding glare of your own engines. You are trapped in a deceleration burn that feels eternal. Imagine stepping on the brakes of a car, but the skid lasts for 3 years. The hum of the drive is a constant, screaming reminder of the forces at play. You watch the distance counter slowly tick down, billions of miles, then millions. The anticipation is mixed with dread. What will we find when the fire stops? Will there be a world waiting for us, or just dead rock and violent radiation? The 3 guardians. Finally, the engines cut out. Silence rushes back into the cabin. The ship is coasting now. The artificial gravity is gone. You float out of your seat and look through the observation deck. The destination has arrived. Alpha Centauri is no longer a single point of light. It is split into 3 distinct entities, the guardians of the system. Alpha Centauri A and B burn brightly in the center, a spectacular binary pair. They are close to each other, too close for comfort. They are engaged in a rapid, eternal orbital dance. Their gravity whips them around each other, distorting the space around them. Far off to the side, barely visible as a dim, red glowing ember, is Proxima Centauri, the third wheel of this cosmic clockwork. The sheer scale of the system is terrifying to behold. It is not a calm solar system like ours. It is a dynamic, shifting gravity well, a chaotic environment. The Golden Twin. We focus our sensors on Alpha Centauri A. It is a yellow dwarf star, very much like our own sun. It is the Golden Twin. For a brief moment, you feel a surge of hope. It looks familiar. It looks warm. Perhaps there is an Earth-like planet hiding in its habitable zone, a world with blue oceans and white clouds. This has been the dream of science fiction for a century. But the reality of a binary star system is harsh. The gravitational pull from the neighboring star, Alpha Centauri b, makes planetary orbits highly unstable. Imagine trying to balance a spinning top on a ship at sea. Any planet forming here would be subject to massive gravitational tides. It might be pulled too close, boiling its oceans, or thrown too far, freezing its atmosphere solid. The Golden Twin is beautiful, but it is a chaotic, dangerous place to build a home. The Orange Companion. We sweep our gaze to Alpha Centauri b. It is slightly smaller, burning with a deep, rich orange light. It is an alien sun. There is a common myth that binary stars will eventually crash into each other, but A and B are locked in a stable elliptical orbit. They swing close, then pull apart, taking 80 years to complete a dance. If you stood on a planet orbiting B, you would have two suns in the sky, one bright orange, the other a brilliant yellow point. Shadows would be double. The lighting would be constantly shifting. But the sensors come back empty. We scan for water. We scan for atmospheric signatures. Nothing. Just dead, roasted rock and swirling asteroid belts. The chaotic gravity has scoured the inner system clean. There is no Earth twin here. The dream of a lush, familiar colony begins to crumble. We must look elsewhere, deeper into the dark. The Lurking Dwarf. We turn our ship away from the bright binary pair. We point toward the faint red ember in the distance, Proxima Centauri. It is a red dwarf star, the most common type of star in the universe. Yet, it is completely alien to us. It is tiny compared to our Sun, only about an eighth of its mass. It barely produces enough light to push away the shadows. If Proxima replaced our Sun, the Earth would be plunged into eternal twilight. It is a grim, foreboding destination, but it is our best hope. Because orbiting this tiny red furnace is a planet, Proxima b. It sits squarely in the habitable zone, the distance where liquid water could theoretically exist. But the term habitable is a purely mathematical definition. It does not mean welcoming. It does not mean safe. We fire the maneuvering thrusters. We begin the final approach into the red dimness. The violent flare. As we approach Proxima, the star reveals its true, terrifying nature. Red dwarfs are not gentle, glowing embers. They are violent, unstable monsters. They possess incredibly strong magnetic fields that snap and twist. Without warning, the star erupts, a stellar flare. It is a massive explosion of radiation and plasma. Imagine a prominence of fire, thousands of times larger than the Earth, shooting out into space. On our Sun, these happen occasionally. On Proxima, they happen constantly. The intense blast of X-rays and ultraviolet radiation washes over our ship. The deflector shields scream under the assault. If we were standing on the surface of an unprotected planet, this flare would strip away the atmosphere. It would sterilize the surface, killing any biology in seconds. This is the star we hope to live under, a volatile, unpredictable tyrant that blasts its planets with deadly radiation. The dream of a peaceful colony is dead. The Shadow World. We enter orbit around Proxima b. It is a rocky world, slightly larger than Earth. But as we map the surface, the terrifying reality of its orbit becomes clear. Proxima b is tidally locked. Because it is so close to its star, the immense gravity has stopped its rotation. One side of the planet faces the red sun forever. The other side is trapped in eternal, freezing darkness. There is no sunrise, there is no sunset, there is no day and night. It is a world of absolute extremes. The day side is a scorched, blistered desert. The radiation bakes the rock, creating immense heat. The night side is a frozen wasteland, locked in absolute zero. The atmosphere, if it exists, is likely frozen to the ground in the dark. It is a planet split in two, a world of fire and ice. The myth of a temperate alien globe is shattered. The Twilight Ribbon. Is there any hope for survival? We scan the Terminator line, the narrow band of twilight that separates the day side from the night side. Here, the red sun sits eternally on the horizon. It never rises, it never sets. The temperature might be just right, not too hot, not too cold. It is a perpetual, eerie dusk. If there is water, it might be liquid here. Imagine standing on the surface. The sky is a deep, bruised purple. Shadows stretch endlessly across the landscape. Fierce, hurricane-force winds would constantly howl through this twilight zone, rushing from the hot side to the cold side. It is a chaotic, brutal environment. You would live your entire life in the shadow of a bloated, immobile red sun. It is a claustrophobic, terrifying existence. We are staring at a sliver of survivability on a hostile, broken world. The descent. The decision is made. We must land. We deploy the landing module. We detach from the mothership. The descent through the thin, turbulent atmosphere begins. The heat shield glows red. The winds buffet the craft violently. The turbulence is nothing like Earth. It is a chaotic clash of extreme temperatures. Look out the window as we punch through the cloud layer. The clouds are not white. They are dark, reddish-brown. The light filtering through them is sickly, alien. The landscape rushes up to meet us. It is jagged, ancient rock, scoured by radiation and wind. There are no trees. There is no green. Just a bleak, desolate expanse bathed in the blood-red light of Proxima. The landing engines fire, kicking up a storm of alien dust. We touch down with a heavy thud. The engines cut out. The silence returns. But it is not the silence of space. It is the silence of a dead world. The alien sky. You put on your environmental suit. The airlock cycles. The outer door opens. You step onto the surface of Proxima B. The gravity is slightly heavier than Earth. It pulls at your boots. You look up. The sky is the most terrifying thing of all. The red dwarf star hangs massive and bloated on the horizon. It is a deep, angry crimson. It casts long, eerie shadows across the rocks. And beyond the star, faintly visible in the purple sky, are the other two suns, Alpha Centauri A and B, two brilliant points of light, mocking you from the distance. You realize you will never see the blue sky of Earth again. You will never feel the yellow warmth of our sun. The alien light washes over your visor. You are standing on a world that was never meant for humans. You have crossed the abyss, only to find a beautiful, terrifying purgatory. The final realization. You turn around and look back up into the dark sky. You search for the constellation of Cassiopeia. You search for the sun. It is there, a faint, distant, yellowish star, just a tiny prick of light in the infinite black. It looks exactly like every other star. There is nothing special about it from here. The terrifying realization washes over you. Earth is gone. The 4 light years of empty void stretch out between you and everything you ever knew. The journey is over, but the isolation has just begun. We came here to find a new home, to ensure the survival of humanity. But as you stand under the eternal bloody light of a red dwarf, you understand the truth. We are the aliens now. We do not belong here. We are fragile creatures of the blue planet, adrift in a universe that is cold, dark, and utterly indifferent to our existence. The journey to Alpha Centauri is not just a test of engineering, it is the ultimate test of the human psyche. We have crossed the immense, terrifying void. We have faced the crushing isolation, the relativistic distortion of time, and the violent radiation of alien suns. We have discovered that the universe is not a playground waiting for us. It is a hostile, extreme environment where life must fight bitterly for every second of existence. Yet, there is a dark, hypnotic beauty in this cosmic horror. The sheer scale of the universe commands our awe. We are a curious species, driven to look past the horizon, even when the horizon is painted in the cold, red light of a dying star. The reality of interstellar travel is terrifying, but perhaps the only thing more terrifying is the thought of never trying at all. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the dark. If you survived the void, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Now, I ask you, knowing the psychological toll, the years in the dark, and the hostile worlds that wait, would you still take the one-way ticket to Alpha Centauri?